welcome to the Earth Feels podcast.
I'm Rose.
And I'm Christine.
Welcome to Earth Feels, the podcast for people feeling overwhelmed by the endlessly gloomy climate news.
Where every week we have soul-based conversations about climate change and explore the idea that climate change may be happening for us as much as it is happening to us.
If you are ready to shift your focus and secure the future for our kids and our grandkids, then this is the podcast for you.
And yes, we do know how to spell.
Good morning.
Hi,
Today,
how are you?
Good. Great to see you again.
Mm-hmm. And this is the week that the World Economic Forum is convening in Davos, Switzerland. And what are we
Yes.
talking about? We're going to talk about that and...
Yeah, I think we really need to follow up a little bit on what's happening in Australia.
Okay.
And in my estimation, the question is, will the Australian climate crisis be enough to convince the world to act? Does that sound
right.
good?
Oh, sure. Well, and I'm sure we have the answers, right?
Oh, yeah, we do. Of course.
So, well, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be convincing the Australians, or at least the Australian government. They've just approved the huge Adani coal mine, which is right adjacent to the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah. So, well, let's just summarize across the country so far in the beginning of their fire season, because they're just heading into their summer, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, they're in the middle of their summer. It's July there.
July. Okay. Well, for me in New England, summer doesn't start until the 4th of July. So.
Is that true? Hey, I'm in Canada.
Weather-wise, it doesn't start until July. I don't know. That's kind of how it was in Seattle too. We used to call June January because it was always cold. So anyway, more than 24 million acres have burned in Australia.
So to help us visualize that, I think I'm just checking, and it looks like the state of Indiana is smaller than 24 million. And the state of Kentucky is just slightly larger. So that's for the Americans out there. Here in Canada, it's burning an area that's larger than the whole province of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island put together. So that's a lot of burnt land.
It's incredible. 24 people have been killed. Some of them who were firefighters, actually.
Wow.
It's destroyed 2,000 homes. And then the toll on the wildlife, and which is, to me, so heartbreaking, because they're the innocents in all this. You know, we talking with Gundy, we saw all the koalas being affected and the kangaroos being affected. Just yesterday, there was an article that I think it was on Bloomberg that because of the ash that from the fires has gone into the rivers in New South Wales, that hundreds of thousands of fish are washing up dead.
It's almost like everything is connected.
Well, we kind of know that, right? We kind of know that.
Yeah,
So,
not a linear system.
No, and this week in Australia, they've had huge rains, which the ground is so dry that it's not absorbing. So what they're doing is experiencing floods, and there were horrific pictures of cars floating, and because the rain was coming down, I don't know what the percentage, how much rain they got within a 24-hour period, but just incredible rains. And then yesterday in Canberra, they were having hail as big as snowballs, and there were pictures of these greenhouses where they've been growing seed from what are you going to call it? It's not territorial seed. It's ancient grain kind of seeds, ancient seeds in these greenhouses, and the greenhouses have been completely pummeled. All the glass is broken, so they've lost a lot of those seeds. And then there was also a video of this enormous dust storm, and you can see it coming in. So we'll post some of the links to all of those things. It feels like the end of days for them. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Wow, it's really too bad that there weren't scientists warning about this for decades. I don't know. It seems like humanity has chosen to learn or not learn. We still don't know if we're going to learn the lesson the hard way, and so this is the hard way.
Yeah, this is the hard way, and I think my feeling is, and what everything that I've read is that the southern hemisphere has been feeling it for a while, but the southern hemisphere is black and brown skinned people, and so who really cares? But now white skinned people who speak English are being affected, and it's a first world country, and it's like, oh, maybe we should wake up and see what's really happening.
Maybe. I
Maybe.
don't know. I don't know. Do you think Scott Moe is woke?
I don't think Scott Moe is woke. We've seen the videos too of people in Sydney and Melbourne taking to the streets and calling for him. Scott Moe's got to go. I don't know.
He hasn't gone yet, but he has called for a royal inquiry. So I'm sure that'll save his bacon.
I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I mean,
that was an LOL. No, it's not going to save. It's too little too late, one would think. But this whole coal mine, I saw an article in the Globe and Mail, which is one of Canada's national newspapers, about how the dream of coal sort of being the economic savior for Australia is turning into a nightmare.
Well, yeah, they've gotten very rich off of it, but what have they put into the atmosphere by pulling it out? I don't know. And the idea that even if they're not burning it, from what I understand, the Adani mine, they are, at which you said the terminus is going to be over the Great Barrier Reef. So they're taking the coal, they're going to bring these ships into this terminus, load them up, and then take the coal across the Great Barrier Reef out to wherever they're shipping it to. Well, where they're shipping it to is China. So China is going to be burning this coal, which the Chinese people just want to be first world people like the rest of us. They want to be a developed nation like us. But burning coal to get there, when we're trying to move on from coal, can we leapfrog across that? Can China, what would happen if China took the lead and said, we're not going to do coal, we're going to go straight for renewables?
Well, they've been doing all of the above. But frankly, I mean, Australia is profiting from China's
no doubt
addiction.
No doubt. Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if now might be a good time to play the 2 minutes that I found of Greta speaking at Davos just in the last 24 hours.
Great. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I haven't heard it yet, so I'm interested.
Okay.
We want these things done by 2050, 2030, or even 2021. We want this done now. It may seem like we are asking for a lot, and you will, of course, say that we are naive. But this is just the very minimum amount of effort that is needed to start the rapid sustainable transition. So either you do this, or you're going to have to explain to your children why you are giving up on the 1.5 degree target. Giving up without even trying. Well, I'm here to tell you that, unlike you, my generation will not give up without a fight.
So, our generation is not giving up without a fight.
Yeah. It's very sobering, isn't it, to hear her, the emotion in her voice, and her passion for life on this planet, where she's sitting in a room filled with the decision makers in our world, the billionaires who are hoarding their resources, and the decision makers, the leaders of countries who are continuing down this path of myopic folly. It's
insanity.
All in the name of profit.
So money talks, and it's time to speak their language. So we talked about that a bit last week.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I know the folks at Stop the Money Pipeline and 350.org in the US had a campaign to send letters to Jamie Dimon's 2 personal addresses, which we won't publish on our website. And they didn't either, but they collected the letters and then they sent them into his personal addresses. So I think there's at least 1,000 handwritten letters being sent off this week.
Oh, that's nice to know. Do we
Yeah.
have a link? Do we have a link for that story about the handwritten letters, or is that just through?
It's through emails
Okay.
that those coalition emails, but we can repost the link to Stop the Money Pipeline. That was specific for this last week, but it's going to, the pressure is going to keep on. It's going to be unrelenting on the people who, like you say, are making these decisions that affect all of us. And it's right now the decisions they're making are affecting us and future generations just in a devastating way. So they need to know that that's not okay. And we need to use the power of our money. And we are much more powerful than we usually feel.
Yeah, as consumers, every dollar that we spend is a vote. Every dollar
Yeah.
that we spend, whether it's with Chase Bank, as we discussed in our last, the 28 credit cards that we have. I just got an email this morning. I constantly get stuff. Sign up for this email. Sign up for this email, and it was like Chase is offering the biggest bonus ever, 60,000 miles on their Chase Freedom card or whatever. And how many people will sign up for that? And it was actually on the pointsguy.com, I think. I'm on his email list about which are the best credit cards and this, that, and the other thing, and he's touting it. He's saying, yeah, this is the best credit card for people to sign up. Well, we need to be a little bit more mindful about what does that mean. I mean, is a free trip for you worth burning the country, burning the world down?
Well, I wonder, maybe you should email him. I'm not connected to him, but just...
Yeah, no, I actually, it's interesting that you said that because I have something that I've started composing, and I'm like, yeah, we all need to be responsible, and that's not a responsible thing to be recommending.
Yeah. So maybe if you do send it, you could post it on our website on the episode page.
Okay. Yep.
You can leave his name off if you want, but just again.
Yeah, I don't know his personal name. I think he's just called the Points Guy. It's the pointsguy.com or something.
First name, the middle name Points, last name Guy.
Yeah.
Got it. And you know what? Sorry, I was just going to say, and that would be a good thing to tweet if he's on Twitter. I will do that. Tweet it out. Bad idea, Mr. Points Guy.
Yeah. Getting back to the money talks thing, which we talked about last week with Jamie Dimon, and there has been some movement. So when we published last week, we did not yet know that BlackRock had made the commitment to not fund any more coal projects. And I think, yay for Larry Fink. Yep. That's a great thing to commit to, but coal is just one aspect. That's one step forward. We need to continue.
Right. And it was any new projects. They're not disinvesting from the projects that they have.
And it was their managed funds, not, they're actively managed funds, not the things that are automatically happening in the background, right? That are part of their automatic.
Yes, I read that BlackRock's, the majority of its business is actually in passive index funds. So you're right, those won't be impacted by this announcement.
Yeah, I don't know the difference. I don't know enough about the finance, how it works, but it's only for their actively managed funds.
So in other words, it doesn't apply across the board to BlackRock. It's very specific funds that are going to be affected by his decision, which we applaud the decision not to invest in any more coal projects, but it needs, that's like you say,
it's
very much a baby baby step. Let's
Yeah, it's
not
a step.
give him too much credit. But
Well, and I think that's the danger, is that, okay, so how much of this is greenwashing? How much of it is just PR? It's like, okay, so he's hearing, so the coalition, the Rainforest Action Network, and Stop the Money Pipeline, they're targeting him, and so he's saying, okay, this is what we'll do. Well, that makes big news, right? But how many people are really looking at it deep enough and saying, okay, well, yeah, there's a big splash. Oh, BlackRock is doing the right thing. Well, they're starting to do the right thing, but they're still reaping a lot of
right.
money from fossil fuel extraction.
They're still pretty stained black by their coal. Their hands they've washed off one layer of the coal dust on their hands, but that's all. They're still pretty grimy.
Well, so we'll see what's going to happen, in Davos this week, because there's a lot of people there that are the big decision makers. And will Greta have some effect? I know that Ann Richards, and we can post this as well, who's the CEO of Fidelity, which is actually where I have most of my money.
So that's a bank. Sorry, just to clarify.
So Fidelity Investments. So okay. they're like BlackRock, but they're called Fidelity.
Okay.
So they have a bunch of different mutual funds and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of pension funds have their money with them. They're money managers, and I think they're out of Boston, actually. She said the financial industry has a role to play in the global effort to combat climate change. So this is the CEO of a huge investment company saying that the financial industry has a role to play, and that she's calling on active managers to drive the effort. So, yay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what we need, because
yes.
each of us make our little efforts, but the biggest effort, as we said last week, the biggest effort is, can you move your money? Can you move your money? Can you speak with your money?
To finish off your Fidelity story, I wonder if it wouldn't be a thing to do to send a positive email
to Anne,
thanking them, for their leadership, because that's important too, to give positive feedback, and sometimes we forget. So if anybody out there is with Fidelity, give them a shout out. We're grateful.
Yeah, so asset managers who pick the stocks, right? So this is what actively managing.
Yes.
They're in a better position to engage with the companies they're investing in.
Yes.
And to ask for them to change their ways.
And if customers are asking the asset managers, look, this is what we are demanding, that they have clean, green investments, then it will happen. I actually remember, was it maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, we had a conversation with our investment manager. We were very clear at the time that we wanted to invest in green stocks, green investments. And he had there was nothing he could offer us at that time. Nobody was asking for it. It was, it really was early days. And now that's changed with MD Management, our investment company, and across the board. So it does make a difference when you start asking for it. But you were going to say you had an interesting blowback. Yeah. Did you say feedback?
I said blowback because it was like, whoo. I woke up one morning and had a text from a close friend of mine, and she was pretty upset that I was calling out Vanguard, who had come out with the news that they were not going to make any changes with their investments, and she was pretty upset that I was calling for people to start divesting from them, because that's where she has her money. And she and I don't always see eye to eye on things, and we love and adore each other, so I'm just going to go with that. But I think the responsibility falls with all of us if you have all your money with one company, then you have more clout to be able to say to them, hey, I have X amount of money with you, and this is a concern of mine. As a consumer, you can ask for or actually demand what you want. So I just came back and asked her, I said, instead of being angry with me, which is the easy way out, right? Use your voice. Can you contact your at least the broker that you work with and say, hey, I'm really taking a look at this. This matters to me. Where can you move my money, even within Vanguard, or can you move things from one way to the other? Her take was that that it could cause a financial depression if everybody just pulled their money out. And then where would we be in climate change if people didn't, if people were all worried about survival? And my feeling is, again, we just don't see eye to eye on this, is that we're talking about survival right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about survival. It's not financial survival. Yes, financial survival would be devastating if people were in the streets, and yes, but tell that to the people in Australia who've just lost everything.
And who thought that paying, I don't know, $100 a year a carbon tax or $50 a year carbon tax was too expensive. Mm-hmm. Tell that to the people who are, like you say, don't have any homes, or whose the food prices are going to go up by 50% or expected. They're, in Australia, there's a possibility they are going to go up. I know that you posted an article that they could go up by 50%. Ouch.
Oh, produce. Yeah, produce.
Yeah.
Because now it's, so you can't plant where you planted before. So the farmers are affected. The truckers are affected because they have to reroute where they're picking up their stuff. The grocery stores are affected because they're not paying the same prices. And so, of course, that goes on to the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And, we need to be proactive instead of reactionary. We need to get out in front of this. And we have the ability to. Yeah. We still have a small window. I mean, there's, in my heart, I still, that Pollyanna in me is, we still have a small window, but it's going to take all of us, and making decisions that may not be comfortable, but they're responsible.
Totally agree. So that, on that note, and I also think we need to talk about Project Drawdown some more in the next little while, because that is not Pollyanna. It is very concrete. We can draw down the carbon that we put out there, and we can make a better world when you do it. So let's not forget about that. So what is some good news for us this week?
Well, I think we talked a little bit about, Fidelity. I think that's great news. I think Greta being at Davos is great news. She actually hiked across the Alps to get there.
Wow.
Okay, we're talking this little girl, man, she is an angel that's walking among us right now. She's really causing us all to look at, do you walk your talk?
Yeah.
Because she certainly does.
Literally in this case.
Literally. Yeah, literally.
Okay, and our action tip.
The action tip is, so this week I came across kind of a fun thing. William Volk is a video game developer from the San Diego area who worked in the industry for decades. I'm reading this off of Yale Climate Connections. And he has developed a game called The Climate Trail, after the Oregon Trail, which if any of you have children, or any of you are our age and have children from that time period in the 80s, it was an educational video.
Well, so my kids loved it.
My kids did too. And so it's called The Climate Trail, and it's basically it's a game proposed on worst case scenarios. So the game is played against a backdrop of unchecked greenhouse gas emissions, extreme heat and drought, wildfires, shortages of food, and the players travel from someplace outside of Atlanta, like I don't know if they're in a refugee camp or whatever, and they're traveling from city to city trying to get to the Canadian border, and they have they have to decide. Yes, Canada's going to save
climate refugees from the U.S. That's just what we need.
Millions of us coming to Canada. It's free, which is very cool.
And it's online.
and it's online, and you can do it on your computer, you can do it on your iPhone, you can do it on your Android, and it is it's called the Climate Trail, and we'll post a link. And it's just, I think it's a way of actually hitting people at a different level. Can you see this? So instead of you can play on different levels, like any video game, but you can play at the 4 degrees increased in climate and temperature, 5 degrees, 6 degrees.
Wow.
So it ramps up what we're looking at in terms of the repercussions of unchecked CO2 or unchecked greenhouse gas emissions.
Yes.
So
Wow.
it's a pretty bleak future, but at the same time, it's
a game.
But it's getting you on an emotional level,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's making decisions based on your emotion. And and once you incorporate it, so I think we're kind of at the head. We kind of understand now that climate change is happening. Maybe a lot of us are feeling it in our hearts, but when you take it in and you know it at a gut level, that can propel us into action. So I just think it's brilliant. So I would say, check out the Climate Trail. That can be our action step.
Who says that climate activists don't have fun?
That's
we have
right.
our own game. All right. And our sanity tip. I was looking at some of Jen Sincero's work again. She's written, You Are a Bad ASS. I'm not sure if I can rate this as clean if I say the full name of her book. And one of her quotes is, our realities are make-believe. Whatever we make ourselves believe, we experience. And whether or not you subscribe to that wholeheartedly, my challenge as a sanity tip today is to wake up in the morning and declare what you're going to celebrate today. That today is a day of celebration, and you can say it out loud, you can write it down, and the invitation is to actually celebrate all of it. Yes, even the darker things that happened, the not yet happened. The key is to truly step into that feeling of gratitude for everything. Wow, you stubbed your toe on the way to the bathroom. Ow. Well, the good news is you've got a foot and it's got nerve endings. Hooray, you're alive on this physical plane. I don't know, have some fun with it.
I think it's important that we remember how to play.
Yeah. All right, that's a wrap for episode 31.
31. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
We'll talk to you again soon. That's this week's episode of Earth Feels. Special thanks to singer-songwriter Kristen Hoffman for generously allowing us to use Song for the Ocean. Thanks for listening.
Don't forget, subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss an episode. Catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Children of the earth, I'm calling out. There's a mission for you and for me. You see, our mother, she has been suffering, and the truth is told beneath the sea. So raise your voice